What was PWL and then Chemistry? Was that it just changed its name, or is that a totally different?
Yeah, well, PWL was Paul Waterman. He is, I'm not too familiar, but I think he's like a, industry guy, producer from the UK, and he started the label. And I think it was more of a dance label or something like that. And then they kind of got into hip hop around 90 or whatever. And then after the first album, he sold it to the guy who was the head of the label, who was the president, Robert John. He changed the name to Chemistry Records. And second album was on Chemistry.
Yeah, I was always...
industry politics, man, that's like behind the scenes. I don't have anything to do with it. Wherever you guys go, that's where I have to go at that point,
Yeah. And speaking of politics, back to Life of a Kid in the Ghetto, with the dedication to the right-wingers, you were talking a lot about Florida and censorship and different things. And I was always intrigued because it seemed even in 1990, 1991, there was already this divide between
right-wingers been right-wingers, man. That
never
changed.
That wasn't my point. My question is, within rap, it was like gangster rap. A lot of the East Coast, New York people were like, that's over there, we're not that. And then Luke was totally, I think, dismissed and underappreciated for a lot of what he was doing. But then you, even though you're not from New York, being from the East Coast, being from Boston, you were defending him and saying that he should be able to do all these things he was doing and pointing out some of the hypocrisy, of course, with sex. But since so few rappers at the time were defending Luke, what made you want to defend him?
Because nobody was saying that. And it's like he's just getting bashed, on TV. They're taking him to freaking court and, arresting him on stage, just like crazy shit. Excuse me again. But, it's just crazy. So, I was a fan of Two Live Crew. Everybody liked to see the booty shaking in the videos, you know what I'm saying? And it was different. It was their own sound. I'm a fan of originality. And, as long as you are who you are and you're original and true to, what you are, where you're from, that's what I like. So I thought I had to speak up, say something about that. That song didn't really make any noise like that, which I wish it would have. But, it was just one of those things that had to be talked about, man. Hip hop was still, only 20 years old at that point or something, you know what I mean? Somewhere around there. So it was still like young, and it could have been gone if these type of things would have happened. They tried it with Pop, they tried it with Luke, they tried it with Ice-T, they tried it with a bunch of people. They tried to shut us down. So that's what I was standing up for and defending.
Yeah. Yeah. And Life of a Kid in the Ghetto has a lot of this defense. And with Be a Father to Your Child, one of the interesting wrinkles of it, I thought, was like you talk about throughout that album and throughout your career with gun violence in particular, it's not just the person who gets shot. Be a Father to Your Child. You're talking about the mom, the kid, the family. It's not just about the kid who's abandoned. It's the woman that's abandoned. It's the circle that's abandoned. So as a person, as a writer, what made you want to look not just at the direct impact, but some of the peripheral impact as well?
Just seeing girls and knowing girls who had babies and, growing up around that and just seeing the disconnect, you know what I mean? And seeing how much of a struggle it was for, the woman. Just a struggle, raising a kid by themselves, no financial help, no nothing, no emotional help, no break, no, so it was a real thing that I wanted to let people know, because I was literally seeing the struggle in my neighborhood, like every day, seeing girls getting on buses, trying to lift up by themselves and, crazy stuff like that, man. So, and being raised by a single parent, I could speak from my experiences and all of my friends that I grew up with experiences. So it was just natural. The woman is strong for, all of the crap that she can endure and still push through. Men are pretty weak. It's a little, we make a lot of more excuses, man. Women just push. So I wanted to, my mother was a strong single mother and did what she had to do to make sure I was good. So I wanted to, let people know that, and everybody knew it already because most people at that time were raised by single parents,
Right. Yeah, it was crazy. But the thing that was awesome about all this is you started, or you got all this acclaim and all these different things. And then do you remember how or why the Brand New Heavies opportunity came up for you?
They just asked me to be on a song, on a record. They liked what I was doing. And awesome too was my management at the time too. So they were doing a lot of wheeling and dealing, talking with everybody and get me on stuff that, all of that type of stuff. So yeah, Brand New Heavies just reached out. One of the coolest bands ever. Oh man, those guys were so chill and so dope. Love that album. I mean, who could refuse to be on a Brand New Heavies album? They came with a totally new sound at the time. A full band. Wow. Those
Right.
exist. You know what I mean? Like a band. Wow. And they were super dope. And, I was just a fan anyway. So, of course, I jumped right on it and had some of those old rhymes again that I put on that one.
Okay. So in this era, then, how did you decide when to dig in the archives and when to write something new?
Man, I had at that particular point, I had so many rhymes, books, and I didn't even want to start writing anything new. I wanted to use what I had and what I had spent so much time working on. I didn't want to let anything go to waste. So I used everything.
Okay. Fair enough. So with on Roxbury 02119, one of the more interesting beats to me was I'm Laughing. And
Yeah.
that one with the Bismarck E sample on there. But the thing, when you have an unconventional beat like that, how do you approach that from a creation perspective?
Well, that was going to be on the first album, and we actually put it on the second album. We had recorded it for the first album, but we didn't end up putting it on there, and we still had it. We were like, it's still a dope record. Why not just throw it on there at the end? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I did that on the first album. Loved the beat, loved the sample. Just was a feel-good beat. Like I could just listen to the beat by itself, And then some more old rhymes. Those are the double times on that. So yeah, I mean, it just worked perfectly. So for me, it was just a matter of finding the right rhymes to go with the beat.
Okay.
What kind of fit?
Gotcha. And then with the album begins with Streets of the Ghetto, Roxbury 02119. And that one, it also struck me so much because it seemed like your voice had changed a lot from vocally, the tone of it or how you sounded or what have you. Was that just because it had been a couple years or did something?
Yeah. I was getting older. So my voice was a little different in 90 than it was in like 93. You know what I'm saying? So it just got older. Like, I was still growing. I was only 20 when I signed. So my son is 20 now, so I know.
Okay. And
yeah,
then,
so I think my voice just changed. I just got older though.
Gotcha. And I also remember too, given how much people shout out the sports franchises on Go Up and Up, how you kind of dissed the Red Sox. So why?
Yeah. Because the Red Sox were one of the last teams to integrate in Boston. And it's like, come on, man. Come on. So, yeah, I wasn't a fan of the Red Sox at that time because, they were racist. I mean, what more can I say? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to support a racist team. I was glad when they, yeah. So, once they got over that and they integrated and, did what they had to do, then I became, a supporter. But yeah, so back in the days, I was a Lakers fan. I wasn't even that much of a Celtics fan back in the days because it was such a racial thing, with Larry Bird and the white guys from Boston and, all the black guys on the Lakers except for Kurt Rambis.
Well, let me ask you this, because I've always thought this was interesting. The irony is the Celtics at that time with Casey Jones had a black coach, which I always thought was
exactly.
Which I thought was kind of ironic because the Celtics had the first black coach ever with Bill Russell, but then at the time,
first black player too, I think.
And first to start all 5 black players were the Celtics. And then they had at this in this 80s era, during this white Celtics thing, they had a black coach, which I always thought was hilarious.
A bunch of white players. I wasn't mad at the Celtics. I was happy when they won championships, of course. But yeah, I was a fan of Bird. You had to be a fan. But I mean, it's just the racial tension, at the time. Everybody thought that Boston was just a bunch of, Irish people. There was nobody else but the Celtics or something like that. So, and a whole bunch of racists. And, it wasn't like that. So we wanted to that's why I put Roxbury for the second album title so people could know, look, it's black people in Boston. So when I first came out with Life of a Kid in the Ghetto, everyone thought we was from Queens.
Why is that?
From Queens, right? Because we recorded at Power Play, which was in Queens. And we was just always in New York. Not that we were in Queens a lot, but we were in Queens for Power Play a lot. So people must have seen us, around. And they all just thought we was from New York. Man. And like, nah, man, we're from Boston, Boston. Wow. Yes.
Okay. So then I didn't get access to it till much later, but acting, when that album came out, I didn't know where it came from or anything. So with acting, was that what was going to be the third album, or was that?
Nah, that was actually, we put that out ourselves.
Okay.
So that was the first time, that I had embarked into doing it independently. And me, Joe, Sean C., my man Jameson, we all put that out together. And we sold, 13,000, 14,000 of those by ourselves. So we made a pretty penny to split up. And that was my start into independency, like 96. So that was, that wasn't the third album. I started recording the third album. I don't even know where those songs are at because we never finished it and got through it. There's a bunch of half-finished songs and, so that was a totally new project.
So why did the Mercury relationship end?
Well, the third album, I wasn't on top of my game. I'm not going to be like, the songs were not that good. I wasn't making good records at the particular time. And the stuff that I turned into them, they was like, nah. And I kind of knew I wasn't really, where I needed to be as far as rapping goes. And me and Joe wasn't working together at the time, so I was using a bunch of different producers. So it just, that whole chemistry and continuity wasn't there for recording the third album. And it was a blessing, at the same time to get off of that label at that particular time and to, start to see what I could do and do the stuff that I really wanted to do without, nobody saying you can't do this or you got to wear suspenders or, excuse me, like, just a whole bunch of crazy shit. So, so I was a blessing. I was saddened, when my lawyer called me and told me, hey, man, they're dropping you. They're not going to, pick up the third album. I was like, oh, shit, man, like it's over. I tried to shop some stuff to a couple other labels, some stuff that I did. Nobody bit. And then that's when I went and said, we decided we'll just put this project out ourselves, and it worked out.
Be sure to check out The History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
What's that 5 on your MTV Best with NWA?
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the street. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.